Hey there, welcome to ATL and 29, a podcast that looks at the NBA from the starting point of Atlanta. My name is Kevin Chennard. I'm here with Glenn Willis, and we just watched the Hawks be very good, then very bad, then very good, then very bad again, and a loss to the Portland Trailblazers. What do you make of that roller coaster, Glenn?
I mean, in the Wizards game, their defense was, I did like an 18-minute breakdown on my Patreon, and the first 6 minutes was okay. The first unit didn't really set the bar that high, and then the second unit came on and really set the bar. And then when the first unit came back on, they maintained that bar. And there was a lot of really good fundamental stuff they did in that game. Tonight, I was in the building. It's harder for me to see everything because at home I rewind the same play three, four, or five times, and I'm looking at what's going on there, and I feel like I have more insightful stuff to say. But I mean, in person, it was amazing how much length the Blazers defend. Even though their guys are young, a lot of them are young. Um, how long they are, and how the one thing they do really, really well on defense is they force the ball away from the head of the snake, going back to to the Bud era, it forced secondary creators to attack one on one. And most secondary creators across the league are not skilled enough to attack, big, rangy, lanky defenders one on one. And that's where a lot of turnovers came from in that game tonight. I felt like I was watching a little lab experiment of those old Pistons teams that would really force the ball into someone else's hands to make a play. And it was staggering to watch live tonight, like how easily, I should say easily, how effectively they were at forcing the ball out of Trey's hands and forcing someone to make a play late shot clock. And that's how it felt like they turned it over 85 times. I know that wasn't the number, but it was a big number. And so, but typical NBA Hawks Twitter freaking out, fire Quinn, trade, it's all ridiculous stuff. All sorry if you've said that, but all ridiculous stuff. And they're going to be up and down for a while. A lot of new stuff on both ends of the court, a new roster construction, new lineup construction, young guys scaling up to much bigger roles than they've ever had before. And this is what it looks like when you are investing in those young players, getting those repetitions. It's going to be up and down. Big picture for this season for them to avoid the play-in? Do they need to win this game? Do they need to win one of those two games against the Wizards earlier this year? For sure. But this is how it's going to be for a while. It just is.
So going back to them putting two on Trey, you said that they did that, but then they also force you to try to win one-on-one with your secondary creators. Why why weren't the Hawks better able to exploit that? Why were they not able to work a 4-on-3? What was missing there?
Yeah, I mean, in the first half, they were trying a good bit of guard screens and then trying to short roll the guard. And when it was guard screens, the Blazers just switched it. And it made it hard to hit the short roller. And as I was watching, and again, I always like to say, I'm not an NBA coach. I thought they need multiple point guards on the floor. And in the second half, that's when they closed the gap that they had for a while. Trey plus Keaton plus Veet on the floor, and
Yeah.
then it was Trey and Veet and Dyson on the floor. And then when they went smaller, it worked. But going back to your question, guard screens, they switched and just shut down the short roll. When they started the second half short rolling Jalen, he got straight to the front of the rim in the short roll when they were playing three guards plus Jalen plus Okongwu. That created a lot of more space inside, and Jalen started really eating in that spot. But when the ball found its way to Anyaka, they were blitzing him. They did not want him to turn towards the middle of the paint. They were blitzing him and not letting him really kind of get to where he wanted to go. So they were like, we're going to let Jalen, kind of function, and we're going to try to maybe kind of get a second defender at him. But they blitzed Trey, and it's weirdly in some ways they blitzed or doubled the five, or sent another defender at the Kongwu and made it really hard on him. they were just doing a lot of really smart stuff on defense, a lot of really smart stuff. And it wasn't until the Hawks put multiple point guards on the floor that they really had a chance to not have everything start and finish with Trey.
I'm gonna have to watch this. So, to what you're saying about a Kongwu, like, wouldn't somebody be open there? Like, if they're sending another body at a Kongwu, like, well, where can this person come from?
Yeah, I think that they were doing that plus impacting passing lanes with their length. And I think the Hawks were like, normally a cutter here gets us someone free. Normally a cutter in that direction. Normally a screen. They couldn't even get Garrison Matthews open for. They had a hard time getting Garrison Matthews open for a three, even bringing him strong side across the screen around the 3 point break. I mean they just you could not. They were passing lanes were like so small, the way that they were playing. And so it was I mean, live you could see how frustrated Hawks ball handlers were with just having no space to dribble, no space to pass the ball, passing lanes like evaporated like on in very short order. And I mean the Blazers deserve a lot of credit for just even when they were losing and their offense was clunky for stretches. But they just kept competing and playing hard, and they kept playing defense, and you could tell they believed in what they were doing on defense, and that really jumped out to me tonight watching live in the building.
Welcome, Tyler.
Hey guys. Um, yeah, no, shooting is definitely a problem for this team.
Yes, that too.
There's no there's no real sugarcoating it. And teams like the Blazers who have a lot of bigger sized players who they can just throw out onto the floor with long wingspans are going to give the Hawks problems until until Bogey's back. Like until they have like a truly real threat, out there consistently playing 25 plus minutes a night against these types of teams like the Trailblazers, how they're set up, like it's just going to be hard for the Hawks to sustain, offense. Now this was like outlier. They still shouldn't have turned the ball over this many times, but I mean it just goes back to the original sin of the team. There's a real lack of shooting. They need more shooting, and their best shooter Bogey can't be hurt for like extended stretches like that, you know. So
Yeah, Kevin and I talked last time about how my belief is, I say belief, no one's said this, is that the Hawks are trying to develop the shooters they have. So
yeah,
Reese Shea, let him shoot it, right? When Kobe comes back, let him shoot it. Veet, let it fly tonight, and had a couple of big shots tonight. And so I mean, there's a couple of ways to add more shooting. You can go acquire more shooting. Shooting is expensive to acquire. It's hard. Or develop your shooting. And I suppose there's always the opportunity you could do a little bit of both, if that's the
yeah,
case. But I think like Ricochet didn't play much in the second half at all. Like I
No.
mean, he played very very little in this game in the second half because they went with three guards for a lot of the second half.
yeah.
And that you know
I thought Quinn pretty quickly was like, I got to get as much ball handling on the floor, and so
yep.
they didn't. And Reese Shea just can't deal with the physicality of of guys getting into his chest dribbling. Like he just like especially particularly in the half court. In transition, he's fine, but like in the half court where it's harder to get that momentum, he struggles with the strength because he has the handle. He just doesn't have the strength to fight through contact right now. But I think something that's also missed because I talked about Bogey, but like really Kobe's been really missed a lot. Like and not to pile on Keaton Wallace, but he's he's being asked to do something he hasn't he just hasn't shown any ability to do either at the NBA level or quite frankly a G League level, which is be a point guard. Like Keaton Wallace is supposed to be in a catch and shoot, catch and drive type role, playing on the wing as a more or less as a small wing, but because of how the Hawks are currently set up, they need even though he's not a great ball handler for his position, like he's just functionally better than Zachary Richer is right now. So like Quinn was like, I need to get Keaton out on the floor, but like you see the processing of what you need from your guard, like Keaton just doesn't have it. And it kind of shows up when Trey gets trapped. Like too often, Keaton's kind of in no man's land when Trey gets trapped, and it's really bogging the offense down as well. Um,
Right. And
I
you can do
yeah,
that, like you get more ball handling and stuff, but you lose a lot of finishing. Like he's not the finisher that
yeah, that too.
Zachary is. So you know, you need a little bit more ball handling because the trap is affecting your continuity. You're not getting the ball from A to B to C to D like you need to.
Yeah,
But then
I,
all
I
of a sudden you've got one more guy who's not going to finish a play for you,
Yeah,
and that becomes
he
a little bit
was
of a problem.
yeah.
ideally Risache is the backup power. Like in an ideal world, if Quinn could get Risache out there for like even like 10 minutes that Jalen isn't on the floor at backup power forward, I think he'd do it. But I just don't think they want to stress Risache physically. We've been talking about that, but like it's pretty like to me, it's just pretty clear like the big pressure points of this team beyond guard play and shooting is no backup for Jalen. Jalen goes on the bench. It's just like it's a 5 o'clock fire on both sides.
Well, I mean that changes when Hunter's available, but
Absolutely.
but they have to plan to not have him sometimes, so they have to have another option that they and that to your point exactly, Todd, the option is not on the roster right now. It's some matchups you can make Nance work if the other team is not like really
Yeah.
athletic in the front, but that's going to be the exception, not the rule, to me, in that sense. But I mean, Grant pushed Ricochet around in the first half,
Oh yeah.
just really,
Yeah.
really pushed him around, and then even Banton like impacted Ricochet as well. When he was depending there on the ball. So it's going to happen. Sometimes until Ricochet kind of just gets a little bit more experience. So yeah, it was funny to be in the environment. I just mentioned on Twitter, like one of the funny things about going into a place is like I don't have a lot of branded team apparel. I just wear regular clothes. And so when I'm leaving, everybody assumes I'm a Blazers fan. Everybody's high fiving me, and everybody's excited and all that sort of stuff. I just high five them and smile, and kind of move on, and that sort of thing. But the place got loud. I mean, it was yeah, that's a fun place to see a game. But I mean, and then it's funny, like you look at the roster and you're like, how much is Robert Williams like playing? Like they're playing Klingon and Aiton. It's like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
needs
That's
to come
something
get some team who needs a center needs to come get that guy. So man,
Brad
he get back to the game tonight.
Brad talked about this over on Blue Sky, and he might have said it on Twitter. I'm not on Twitter anymore, but like he just said like it's not good that Aiton was ruled out.
No.
That was a big difference in the game because I mean Klingon was fine, but he I thought he struggled actually because the Hawks pushed the pace. I thought he struggled with the pace of the game. Robert Williams does this to the Hawks all the time, especially when he's on the floor and the power forward can't shoot. Like he just wrecks everything at the rim because like he's not going to respect Larry Nance anything Larry Nance was doing on offense. And so he's just living in the paint, and it's hard to score over him. Like he's one of the better rim protectors in the game. Like I mean, Robert Williams is a good player. He's just injuries have kind of hurt his career and like capped what he can be. But what Robert Williams did tonight wasn't that surprising. It's just it's just tough for the Hawks right now. Like it's a bad game when Robert Williams is playing this many minutes to not have somebody like DeAndre Hunter to count.
Yeah.
Like just
Yep.
full stop.
Yeah, you could see you lied. He doesn't move the way he moved 2 years ago, and that it's obvious why is the case. But his timing and spacing and his ability to read and measure a play is really impressive. Like really like elite. He knew exactly when to leave his guy. He knew exactly when to gap a play. He knew exactly when to show up. I mean, he had everything measured, and I think part of that is just the Boston development system. They're very precise in how they develop their guys, but it's just strange to me that a team like the Blazers isn't taking more advantage of having that guy on your roster, and like I said, I don't know if like the plan is for them to maximize their draft capital this year. It's like, no, we don't want to. He'll help us win too many games, that kind of thing. But if that's the case, it's like there are a lot of teams that could really be helped by having Robert Williams on their team. A lot of teams that could really be helped with him. Anyway, that's a bit of a separate tangent there. But watching him play live was something. I mean, he dominated the
Yeah.
paint defensively. It's really impressive.
What did you make of Jalen's evening?
I mean, I thought I thought Jalen and Dyson were both turnover prone when they were forced to attack one on one, and I thought, and especially late shot clock, and I think they both had more than 5 turnovers each.
Yeah.
But once Jalen started attacking them down the middle in the second half, he was getting straight to the rim, and if Robert Williams was off the floor, Jalen was getting exactly what he wanted at the rim. And but again, Jalen scaling up offensively, Dyson scaling up. This is how it's going to go for a while. And I think they're doing the right thing by investing in those guys being able to kind of scale up. Now, if I was talking to some people and people DM me after a game and have questions and stuff like that, and different things come up. And for me, it's like I think the Hawks are going to be a pretty good team in the second half. I think they're going to be up and down in the first half, but I think if they just keep riding with the things that give feedback loops and repetitions and all that sort of stuff, I think they're going to be pretty good. And my feeling when I watch this team is that they're trying to be a real team next season, right? This season, if it's up and down, if they don't win quite as many games as they would have if they kind of played vets, down the stretch or whatever it is, that's the investment that this team is making. And I know some Hawks fans might feel frustrated by that because they're like, oh man, we've been in the high 30s, low 40s for it feels like forever, wins wise, but they have real young guys that are worth investing in their development, and that's the way it's going right now. But I mean, yeah, it was it's for I wanted to ask you guys about what they're doing at the end of games when they're down a single possession. It's kind of looks like the same thing about three at least three times now. You know, 10, 11 seconds, sometimes single digit seconds left. Throw the ball in the backcourt. Trey's running up the right side. Opposing defense says no. Trey wants to either get to that seam or get to that step back. That's like the two things. Like we all remember the Boston series, that step back Trey got to when Boston defended him 1-on-1 out there, right? We were in the Knicks game freaking 4 years ago now, but he got that seam right, and that's where Trey is wanting to get there. And if you go watch all of the possessions, they are pushing him towards the boundary, like they're just forcing him towards the boundary, not giving him that space. And tonight was the first time he tried to time a cut, right, a cutter right down there on the baseline. That was the first time that they kind of went to something besides Trey generating that shot. And so maybe they are
Well, was that
trying to kind
plan B or
of,
plan A?
I
or
think that was plan that looked like plan C to me.
Yeah,
To
I
me,
don't think that was the original.
yeah,
it felt
but
like
I
Trey
thought
was
there was
trying to
like a
get to
nod,
his.
a little nod. Like plan. Oh shit! Like we got to do something.
Yeah, Trey got he was trying to set up the step back. He couldn't get it. Like to me, I'm gonna be honest. I think Trey's more hurt than he's letting on. Like because usually when they do that type of play, he has more burst getting down the floor. But like these last couple games, like it just looks like he's playing at 75%. Like he's more measured in his drives. Like the explosion is just not there athletically right now, getting downhill. For me, and he talked. I mean, he talked about his that right ankle Achilles torn. It's like this is probably like a real thing that he's trying to manage. But like to me, it just looked because like all game, it just felt like Trey doesn't let bigger ball handlers consistently stay in front of him like he was tonight. Like he's usually very good at just going right by
Yeah.
taller players, getting fouls. Like he's not generating free throws. I think he's hurt. I like to me, I just think he's hurt. but he's gaming it
The
out for the team.
the
And he was
other
good. That's the
yeah
crazy part. Like
yeah
Yeah,
that last
I mean,
possession
yeah,
didn't work, but man, he had a great game.
yeah,
yeah
he was
All
great.
things
but the
considered with
other
what they were throwing
indicator
at him.
yeah the other indicator around the health side is that he's normally very physical,
Yeah,
and he's not
yeah.
playing physically right now at all.
He is shying away from any type of contact on offense at least, and it's like okay, he doesn't trust his ankle Achilles, and he's managing because like the finishing at the rim's just not there. And he's more it's more like IQ based going on right now, and it's fine. It would, and this is why it's really important that Kobe and Bogey get back really soon because they can't really afford to be burning Trey out, uh, trying to salvage games like they had to do tonight, where like he leaves the floor and it's an immediate disaster with the turnovers. I know he had 6 turnovers, but it's like I mean they're high trapping him, and he doesn't have the burst to blow by his man. Like it's just and the NBA like NBA teams see that on tape. Like I'm pretty sure every team knows that he's not 100%, and so they're going to pressure him full court, and it's going to be on guys like Dyson Daniels and Jalen Johnson to continue to take more of the usage to ease Trey's burden. But like, I mean, I just flat out I think he's hurt. Ideally, ideally he'd have gotten. I'm glad the Hawks sat him on that Tuesday game to give him like a full five days or so. But this feels like something he might need like a week of just not playing basketball, another week or so just to get it right. But hopefully it'll magically feel better in the next couple of days because NBA Cup's on Friday. So
Yeah, but and it'll be interesting to see if he plays tomorrow. I mean,
yeah,
the Kings put a lot of pressure on your guards defensively, like a ton. And Fox has scored what like 110 points or something like that in the last 2 games. I don't know what the exact number is, but it's 3 digits. And so that if they're like, hey, Trey's not feeling great, we're gonna put him into screens. They're gonna do all the stuff to try to kind of make him defend. And so it'll be interesting to see if he plays tomorrow. I liked the aspect of I mean Keaton did impact the game defensively in the first half of the fourth quarter. He's
yeah,
strong, and at least he can dribble the ball up and not make Trey exert the energy to kind of bring the ball up against 3/4 court pressure and all that sort of stuff. So there was a little bit there. I don't know why they didn't continue doing that with Veet when Veet came back on for Keaton. I'm not really sure about that, or they've done that with Dyson before too.
I mean it's not like the offense was working. You know, it
Yeah,
it worked. They got like to be fair to them, it's not like they got bad shots at the end of the game. Like Dyson got to the paint, he got a good look, he missed. It's a one possession game. They don't get the offensive rebound, leads to an open 3-pointer. Like that's and when you late fourth quarter randomness like that happens. But like to close, I thought Hawks offense was fine. I mean, they outplayed the Blazers comfortably in that fourth. It's just like you can't have quarters where you just handing the other team points like the Hawks like 27 turnovers. I don't care what else you're doing on offense. Like that's just very hard.
Yeah.
yeah, and that sharp 31 footer I thought that was the thing that really kind of swung the game.
Yeah.
That
I
was a
mean, Ben had a bailout where he had to double pump, made the 3-pointer. Like like those are the different. Again, the shooting variance for the Hawks they're getting killed on some of these shots that these guys are hitting. But
yeah. And that's where having Bogey, if when they get him back, allows them to not have to rely on a shot from Dyson late in the game, rely on a shot from a perimeter shot from Jalen late in the game. I mean, just it kind of puts everybody in the right place in the pecking order as opposed to shifting everyone kind of up. If you force the ball out of Trey's hands with Bogey's on the floor, you know, and
good
especially if
luck. Yeah.
Jalen's in the short roll and you got Bogey in the corner, whatever it is. I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be harder for other teams to kind of
Look,
get the same kind of results.
I mean, Glenn, we kind of saw the vision with Beat in Bogey's role, like and having Dyson be the more or less a small forward, like that's going to be a really tough lineup for teams to deal with late in games, as well as potentially even having Hunter in the game as well
Yeah,
for additional shooting. Like where we talk about maybe the Hawks don't want to go with the center late, against certain lineups. Maybe you can go with that with Jalen at center uh, instead of a Kongu or Capella. Like I, it's frustrating because the Hawks just don't have the options that they should have, and we're 14 games into the season. But if you look at the aggregate of what the what the guys you expect to be playing good minutes for this team, like they've been playing well, or I how angry can I be that when Jalen goes off the floor, Larry Nance at power forward, now like Larry Nance is 31 years old, like he's not a power forward, you know. They uh uh David Roddy just isn't big enough to be a power forward. If Hunter's not there, they don't have another option. Maybe I suggest maybe try Barlow. Like, I mean, he's playing with a lot of confidence right now in the G League. Just to get um some replacement level production out of the backup four spot. Because I mean, there are other problems with the Hawks, but like right now, like if you look at the numbers, like every lineup data just says the same thing. When Jalen goes off the bench, it when Jalen goes to the bench, it's just a disaster for the Hawks.
I will say that, watching these College Park games, they're starting Gay and Barlow together. And Barlow is really playing more center and Gay's doing more of the power forwarding.
yep.
So, I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah,
that doesn't
and
mean
that
that he can't. It's just that
right.
they're not
that's true.
leaning into it at College Park, getting him ready for it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like the blueprint for the Hawks from a developmental standpoint is they want to draft centers, or if we want to say bigs, right, that can play either position, that have a good baseline of offensive skill and teach them to play defense, right? Because Barlow has good hands, he can put the ball on the floor,
His
but
unbelievable feet, like his pivots,
yeah,
like
yes,
he's
he
really skilled.
ball does not stick with him. He moves the
Mm-mm.
ball. He
Yep,
understands what to do. On defense, they have to teach him how to play defense,
they do.
right? They have to teach him how to play defense, and that's what's going on in College Park this year. And all people I talk to, like a summer league and stuff like that, he's a sponge. He's gonna get it. That's what I heard from people that were maybe adjacent to some of the Spurs people and stuff like that, right? And so I think he was a fantastic get. And
Oh yeah.
I think he's gonna be helpful down the road. But they got to teach him how to play defense. And I mean, and Moget just yeah, some of the innate defensive instincts are really there, but for him, it's kind of getting him into a consistent offensive role
That's
and
right.
not having him swing back and forth. They got to get him doing like one role well. That's usually a good starting point for a young player. And they tried him at center and tried him at power forward. I think now it looks like from what we're seeing, it looks like they're going to kind of give him a chance to kind of play in that power forward role. And the key for him, the swing key for him is health, too, for sure. But that it's exciting to see that pipeline kind of being real is something that I think you know did make an impact in the game tonight. But you look at the 2-year plan or whatever they might call it internally, and that's part of the plan is that developmental pipeline that they have going on. So yeah, I mean, frustrating win tonight, turnovers, like
No, they
nonstop
didn't win
turnovers.
tonight.
Frustrating loss tonight, outcome tonight. Uh, uh, I have long, long, long days
You you
juggling
you
work.
switched to Portland, did you?
Yeah,
One
no.
one game in
Yeah,
Portland, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
swapped.
I left the Portland. I was a pretend Portland fan as I left the arena, so I think that got me. Um, but to me, I still look at what they're doing, and I still think they're taking this thing in the right direction. I know it's going to be bumpy, but the last 4 years, I don't have to recap it. Like 18-month reboot, 18-month reboot, 18-month reboot, new plan, new roster direction, and you cannot sustain anything like that. And what they're building now is, point of attack defenders, secondaries who can handle and create, play on the catch, all that sort of stuff. Tyler's point is right. They've got to juice the roster with more shooting at some point somehow. That part of the roster is not there right now. Can they develop that through Ricochet and some of the other guys?
I would suspect Ricochet is going to get there eventually. I'm not
Well,
I'm not
I totally trust him.
long
I don't know if
term,
it's yeah, trust him.
like long
He's going to shoot it. He's going to
yeah,
shoot it.
long term I'm not worried about the shooting concerns. I'm just talking about the right now because it's just super hard for Trey. Like Kevin's brought this up so many times. It's just so hard for Trey to do anything on offense right now. Um, they got to make it easier for him, like in the right now, or he's going to get, or it's going to be a problem. And so, Veet helped a lot. Like Veet comes into the game and he's generating catch and shoot threes for Trey Young. That's beautiful. That's what the Hawks need. Like they need more of that from if Veet can stay healthy, like that's gonna help some. And then really, I really just think Kobe's ability to take some usage and to just play 15 plus minutes every night, maybe even with the injuries alongside Trey until more guys come back, like that's going to be massive because to me, even though he hasn't played, you see the value of somebody like a Kobe Buffkin on this Hawks team with his absence because it's just so clear. They just need somebody who can get shots up, like who can get to like a 15-footer every once in a while, or get to a step back 3-pointer, or can consistently drive to the lane. We're
As a floater.
forced, yeah, yeah, we're forcing Dyson into that role, and it's good for his development. But you want more, like you need more guys because like the Hawks are very intentional keeping Trey next to Dyson Davis. Like they don't want to separate. They feel it's very important that Trey have that cover, and so on defense, so like it's going to be vital if Kobe comes back. He can take on the mantle as the offensive engine. It doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to be efficient. It doesn't have to look good. But just we got to start with getting the shots up because right now, like turnovers has been a problem for this team, and like I think Kobe's going to help a lot. Kind of just rein in some guys' like roles and place them at where they need to be offensively.
And his defense too. I mean,
Oh
it's
yeah, yeah,
I think a guy who can contribute offensively and play at the point of attack defensively, where Keaton's a little bit more of one. I mean, I like what Keaton gives them considering his what his role should be. I think they
yeah.
get a lot from him for what his role should be. But I think Kobe's going to be a guy who's more connective on offense and all that sort of stuff. You mentioned the I don't know how much of the play was caught on TV, but that ridiculous baseline pass he made to
Yeah.
the weak side corner. That play started him above the right 3-point break, and he put his hands up. Well, I mean, ball was on the outside of the court. He put his hands, and you could tell he saw everything that was going to happen. He put his hands up, moved me the ball, takes him off the 3-point line, drove hard. I mean, he drove downhill hard, towards the rim and jumped and made that. I mean, is there anybody else besides Trey on the team that can make that pass?
Or
Not
who
that's
Maybe
can make
healthy.
Jalen.
that, or who can make that entire processing decision
Yeah, it's see
before
the
the
whole
play
thing.
even happened. Yeah, see it before it happened. Because like Jalen's more of a reactionary type of player. And Dyson, he's getting that. Like Dyson had a very insightful alley oop to Capella early in the game. He was Dyson was playing with some great rhythm to start the game, but like he's suffering from he to get the best out of Dyson, you need to shoot around. Like he's gonna really benefit from Bogey, hopefully being back within the next week. I don't know, what the injury report says, but like that's gonna be a big help for him. Tamper down his uh his usage maybe a little bit to somewhere more comfortable for where he's at offensively right now.
Yeah, yeah. The
And
last
just
time I
make
saw
the
Keith
passes
play,
easier for him. Like right
yeah,
now,
Yeah,
like he's got pretty good instincts as a passer, but without the shooting, it's the margins aren't there. And he had some terrible passes. Like
yeah, he was
you
just
can't excuse the lob
sloppy.
pass that was 3 feet too high for Nance, and the 3-on-1 outlet to Capella that he threw like a Hail Mary when he could have just given it to literally anybody that was on the break. Like he just had a rough passing game, but even still, like just the routine everyday passes like will just get that much easier if there's more space.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, for
But
sure. Yeah.
I want to ask you about like the end of game stuff. We talked about it a little bit as far as the play that they did run. Is there anything else that they can do? Like if we just go to the world of hypotheticals here, can you do something? I mean, to me it seems like well you can't bring anybody into the action because they show it all night long that they can just disrupt you with a trap, and you just don't have enough time to try to get out of a trap. But like, can you do something different? Can you give it to Jalen and have like Trey set the screen for him? And or is there any other option that you think is realistic there besides just trying to get Trey in space?
Yeah. So I'll try to get a quick answer. So for conversations I've had, like coaches stress out about if I let the other team take the ball out of the hands of the guy I want to have the ball, I'm stressed about getting it back into his hands. Especially really advanced and good defenses, or like he's not getting it back. You know,
Yeah,
it is kind of matchup based in that like if there's a Jalen Brunson on the floor, you want that guard screen, let Trey go right at Jalen Brunson. I don't mean to pick just on him, but there are other guards like that in the
Sure, sure,
league.
sure.
Tonight they were switching guard strings, so screens. So the Hawks wanted none of that. Right there was nothing to be gained from a guard screen, and so maybe staggered screens with the Jalen being the first screen and him short rolling and creating 3-man action instead of 2-man action to give the defense more to react to. Maybe there's something in there, but some coaches will tell you too that we want to keep it simple at the end of the game. So my guess is that this part of their playbook, if you want to call it that, is still evolving. Most coaches do say in the huddle to their best player, where do you want the ball? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? And they let the player decide. That is like 80% of the time that's what happens. Um Trey size, I think, requires a little bit more creativity than just that. Now Trey deserves to have input, but I feel like they need something a little bit more creative than that, especially when there's not a lot on the clock. So that's
I mean,
my thought process.
it's just hard without Bogey because you don't trust anybody else to really shoot the ball or to make a decision with it. So like you can't really give the ball to Dyson late because you're not gonna. You would prefer Trey to have the ball. So like if Bogey's back, it makes things a lot easier. You have more options.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right. Good night.
Good
Good
night,
night,
Bob.
Bob.